think the best piece of content that I produced are always when people are authentic, are themselves, and I think they come across a lot better. In the modern world of content creation, I think a lot of people try and mask who they are and they're not fully transparent, and I think the reason I've had quite a lot of success with YouTube, with social media as a whole, is because I've always been real and raw, and with whatever has changed across this journey, I've always just been straight up and said it how it is. And that's what we did a few years ago in Miami, when we stripped all the layers back and we reintroduced who I was and where I'd come from and what I'd done and what had led me to that position. But a lot's changed since then. Obviously, if we strip it back again, people know from the Miami story video, I was massively introverted, always the shyest person in class, always hesitant to put my hand up to ask questions, always the smallest personality in a big group. And I was well aware of that growing up. And I made it my mission as I got older to become less introverted. And the key pillar to achieving that really was doing things that scared me. And that's what I continually strive to do. And I think that all stemmed from losing my identity with football. Growing up, being incredible at football, thinking I was going to be a pro, having that snatched away from me and having such pain at such a young age, I had to almost re-identify myself. And I feel that's what I did with coaching, and that's what I continue to do with coaching and the legacy that I'm trying to have on the industry at the minute and trying to leave on the industry. So obviously, let's strip it back a little bit more. As you know, footballer into college, into university, the typical route most young lads take, a little bit lost leaving university, working in a corporate background, not really feeling as fulfilled as what I should have done. And I remember looking at the clock thinking, God, another hour left, another hour till dinner, that's another week done, and the laptop closing and that being it really, and until Monday we go again, and we have that dreaded Sunday anxiety. And I remember just one day looking and thinking, there's a lot more to life than this. Working for a company, building someone else's dreams, and there's nothing wrong with 9-5s, there really isn't, but for me, like that just wasn't me. And it led to me then making the decision to quit my 9-5 to pursue coaching. As you all know, worked for a coaching brand for a short while to find my feet, to find my niche, and then launched Bembre Coaching, which had exponential growth. Me and Sergio flew the flag very high and very successful. In Miami, it was just me and Sergio, and was having a lot of success at that time, and a lot of young lads aspired to not only look like us, but also live the life that we was living, traveling the world and doing these incredible things, creating content. And then really, the brand just grew at a rate that even I was surprised by. Like, I think we're sitting on around 100, 125 clients with me and Sergio. And there was just constant inquiries, numerous posts on Instagram going viral from myself and from Sergio, and it was just leading to more and more eyes on the brand. So we expanded. At this point, it was still Bembre Coaching. At this point, if you look at what was happening from Miami to this period, Miami was February, this period was March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I was still a lifestyle athlete. I was still very much, let's say, had that physique that every young guy wanted, and that was the same for Sergio. So that was our niche that was doubling down on, and we was having so much success, but we couldn't deal with the inquiries or the leads, so we expanded. We introduced Alex, we introduced Finn, and we introduced Ryan, 3 additional coaches to Bembre Coaching. And at this point for me, my own physique journey had stopped. It had halted. I looked good, but I didn't really have the vision. And I remember turning around and saying to Sergio, like, the love for training just wasn't there. Like, I was so focused on this business, what was growing into an absolute beast that I was so proud of. I just couldn't get myself out of it to give back to myself. And for me then, I knew I wasn't operating at the best that I could be. I knew that, yes, I might have been scaling this business and building an amazing community, but I wasn't inspiring my team of athletes. I wasn't inspiring my audience by my physique anymore. So at this point, I had to make a very, very difficult decision, because I'd left my job in March and this was October time. I'd just met Claudia. So Claudia had just finished university. She was going to go on to pursue psychology. And I couldn't get a mortgage in the UK, and I didn't know where I wanted to live in the UK. So I had a chat with people close to me, and we decided to take the jump and move to Dubai. So October 22, we left the UK and we set up shop in Dubai. And for most online coaches watching this, this is where they think, right, this is where your world changes, your business scales, everybody wants to watch your content. For me, it was quite the opposite. I think for 6-7 months, I just remember brought 3 other coaches on. We didn't really have the same input in terms of inquiries. I wasn't having the same success on social media. And this was a sticking point really for Bembre coaching, where the individual was strong, but these amazing coaches that had represented the brand had almost become lost within it. So people would either work with me or they'd work with the competitors. So I was living this life in Dubai. It was amazing, but I felt I wanted to double down on my niche a little bit as a coach, and I was working with a great pool of athletes, but I wanted to think bigger for them, and I wanted more for them. I wanted them to really go on this path of true physique development. And I think what I was missing, and this is one of the main reasons why I went back into bodybuilding, is I was missing authority. Not just as a coach, but as an athlete. And I had a burning itch that I needed to scratch to become an IFBB pro. So I remember stepping foot back in Banús, looking around and thinking, wow, I'm a little boy. And in January of 2023, I started pursuing bodybuilding again. And I can't work out at this point if this was a good decision for Bembre coaching or if it was a bad decision. I think looking back, and if we break the data down, it didn't sway either way. But this meant the owner of this brand became obsessed with physique development on his own level, still providing amazing service for clients, but this was going to be one hell of a journey now. So I knew what I was about to embark on, and I knew where I was going to go, and I knew the level of sacrifice and discipline that this was going to curve out, but I didn't know the mental challenge that I was going to go through on this journey. And believe me when I say this, it was probably the hardest 18 months of my life in terms of the mental challenges, the sacrifices, what I had to make. We then hit June. I'd been living in the UAE for 7-8 months. And as I said, I feel the business was at a sticking point. We had 4 amazing coaches, we had myself, but we wasn't seeing the same success as what we were seeing when it was Bembre coaching, myself and Sergio. And I think the main reason for this was because the person that people were inquiring to look like, to aspire to be, had changed, and that was me. I'd gone from having the look that every individual wanted to all of a sudden being a bodybuilder, to being 96, 97 kilogram with no abs. And I remember I was working with a business mentor at the time, and I said, we need to rebrand. We need to remove this identity of Bembre coaching and create something bigger. And the vision was always bigger, but it took us a few months to decide what it was going to be. And we relaunched in July, and it was New Gen. We went for New Gen, and the reason for this was because what I felt we was doing as a brand was, it was a new generation of athletes, it was a new generation of standards, a new generation of experience. And for me, even looking at the industry today, it was a new generation of results. Like we provide the best results in the world, and that's 100% facts. We provide the best experience, and that again is 100% facts. And there'll be a lot of coaching companies out there watching this who agree with us, and I say that with confidence now because of where I'm sat today, not where I was sat then. But still, when we rebranded, I expected this big surge. There was loads of anxiety of, oh, am I going to lose my own identity within the brand? And we didn't see the return that we expected. Again, we had a big community day, we launched it, awards for the clients, and I remember again the inquiries was relatively slow. And at this point I look, and I was just entering prep. And I was entering prep with anxiety of all this pressure on my shoulders to try and do well, and all this pressure on my shoulders of a business that wasn't growing at the rate that it used to grow. So I was looking, is the service right? Is the community? Is everything where it should be? And it was. And the truth was, it was the identity of the individual, Bembre, that had changed. So we then went into the rebrand. I competed in my first competitive season. I won my regional. I finished 3rd in Italy at Amateur Olympia. and I was ready, I was motivated, I was inspired. I got off that stage, I was like, right, let's turn pro. I don't even think I had 2 or 3 days off plan. I was back on plan, back into routine, back into Dubai, and the off season began. And at this point now, New Gen had picked up some good momentum towards the back end of the year, because me and Alex had created what I think is still one of the best series behind the Miami series on YouTube, which was the full prep. We didn't miss. And what I showed people there, and what I allowed people to do with me, is build an emotional cord and make them feel like they was on that prep with me. I ran through the struggles, the challenges, the wins, the losses, and I feel I gave people a real picture of what it's like to prep at that level. And then we went into the off season, 6 months. We entered 2023 with a real vision to become an IFBB pro. Every ounce of energy went into posing, went into bodybuilding, went into coaching. And at this point, this is when I looked and thought, I've made a lot of sacrifices along the way here. I'd lived in Dubai for a good period now, and I'd still not experienced it. I'd not been out for meals, I'd not been out for drinks. And at this point, as you all know, I've got an amazing friendship group back home I've probably not seen in 12 months or done anything. A beef was off the cards, any lads' holidays was off the cards, and I'd ingrained myself in becoming the best coach and the best athlete in the world. That combined is so hard to do. And I don't care what you say, you've got to pick one or the other. You can't do both. And that will depend on the type of client that you work with. But if you look at the caliber of athletes that I have represent New Gen now, you will see why I had to choose one. And we then started prep earlier than planned. And I'll never forget, like, it got to February and I was done with the off season. I remember trying to go out for dinner with Claudia and friends and just really hating how I looked. And I'll be honest, I had a few breakdowns of just, I feel I'd lost my identity. I'd lost the positive comments that people used to put towards my physique. God, you look amazing, to all of a sudden every time I walked in a public place, fuck me, you're huge. And for me, that was hard. Like, engagement on Instagram was the worst it had ever been. And we was creating the best content, the most inspiring content. And that's not what drives me, engagement. What drives me is being authentic with my audience. But when you've gone from getting 100,000 likes on a post to 700 on a physique, it's like, well, what's different? 15 kilogram of muscle. And I knew that. But I entered this prep with the weight of the world on my shoulders. And this is because I'd become almost obsessed with this IFBB Pro card. And I stopped enjoying the journey. And what you always need to look at within physique development, whether that's competitive, photo shoot, is there will be parts of the journey that you don't enjoy. And you've sometimes just got to grit your teeth and get back in the mix. So that's what I did. I went through the prep and I had a lot of success in this prep. But I knew deep down this would be my last ever prep. So we didn't need to do a regional because I was a UAE resident. So I went straight to Amateur Olympia, Spain, stood with the big boys, finished second, lost by a point. That hurt because there was 3 overalls in that. There was 3 pro cards in that overall, and I remember thinking, now I've only got 2 more shots. And even though I bowed my head and went out with pride, I think that show could have gone either way. We flew back to Alicante 2 weeks later, took the class win at the M Pro, went in the overall, and I'll never forget this. I went backstage on my own, and the sense of excitement that ran through me. I was like, this is it, we can make it happen. And I went in the overall and I never really got the look in. I started 1 from the centre, didn't get moved into the centre. I got moved out 1, moved back in 1, moved out 1. Got put to the line and I knew, and everybody in the crowd knew that I'd not took the pro card. An amazing athlete took the pro card that day. And then went to Ireland, I think it was a week later. And at this point I was done mentally. I didn't really care about the pro card at this point. All I cared about was getting the people around me back, getting Ben Bray back, and becoming the person that I knew I once was. And that was reflection. I remember finishing the M Pro show and sitting down in my bedroom at home and thinking, I'm proud of what I've achieved and I'm actually satisfied. And if I don't turn pro in Ireland, I will bow out with pride, because what I've learned along the way in terms of discipline, character, structure will last me for the rest of my life. And that's why people ask me, when I lost in Ireland, does it hurt? And it hurts because I think I was good enough to turn pro that day. But the vision that I had of becoming a pro would not have been manifested in that show because there was no pro card. So and this is real, right? I'd manifested that photo with a red or a gold pro card, letting my audience know, letting my family know, letting the people close to me know that I'd achieved that status. And I was successful on the mission. And that day it wouldn't have been possible. I'd have had a trophy, no pro card. For me, it wouldn't have hit the same, you know, when you've committed everything and you've manifested something and it doesn't materialise the way that you want it to. For me, I bowed out with a lot of pride, and there was no doubt after that show. I remember messaging Cal saying I'll have a week in Greece to collect my thoughts, and I remember sitting in my kitchen in the UK, putting a video out saying I'm going to think about it, but I knew well before that show the exact outcome of what I was going to do. So we came off all anabolics, and here we are today, 20 weeks off cycle. Feel amazing, feel recovered. I've given back to the people close to me. I've also just, again, almost rebirthed New Gen. And this is a lesson for a lot of coaches, is don't be scared to turn away from something that isn't feeling right, doesn't feel right, that you're not invested in. Because I actually got a message last night of a good friend saying they're so proud of what I've done and who I've become since turning away from bodybuilding. And I love bodybuilding. I'll always watch it. A lot of athletes that I beat at the amateur stage turn pro now. And people said, does that hurt? And it doesn't hurt because of what I've created with New Gen and the people around me and the environment that I've got. And I think I masked that pain of not being a pro with what I have with the business, the people close to me, the staff. But also because I'm grateful of what I learned. And I always say, like, the success of a prep is not determined on the outcome of it. And even though I had a very successful prep and I was literally touching distance of a pro card, I was going to quit anyway. So turning pro would have had no impact on my life whatsoever, ever, other than a post on Instagram and a YouTube video. So looking back now, I'm grateful because I've got my health, I've got my loved ones, I've got my family, I've got my partner, I've got my staff, I've got my clients, I've got my new dog, rest in peace Alfie. But I've got everything that I need. And since we stopped bodybuilding 20 weeks ago, we've took New Gen from where it was, which was in a very good place, to what I define now the biggest and the best lifestyle transformation brand in the UK. And we recently started the World Series, where we had over 18 lads travel from all over the world for their first physique photo shoot in Dubai. We launched our first New Gen Accelerator seminar, and the amount of clients that we've added because they've been inspired by my story, they've seen the cohesion within the coaching team, they want to become part of a community. Whereas previously when I was bodybuilding, they couldn't see that. All they could see was me as an individual, as a bodybuilder. And now what I've seen is people back inquiring in the business because they want to look like me again. They want to feel like me, they want to perform like me, and that for me is everything, because I've become an inspiration to people again. And one of the main purposes of this video today is because the journey to progression never stops. You've just got to keep focusing and keep pivoting. And if you feel lost, you pivot, and that's what I did with bodybuilding. Going back into bodybuilding, I felt lost, so I went back in. During bodybuilding, I lost myself, so I've pivoted again and I'm back into a lifestyle athlete, and I truly do see myself staying here now. I have a good balance with food, I have a good balance with lifestyle. I generally feel good every single day. I get out of bed with energy. I can perform in the gym. I have a variety of nutrition, and just generally there's no pressure on me. And I think bringing it back to the present day, 2 years on, as I said, we've built one of, if not the best, physique development coaching companies across the globe. We've got an amazing community. I've got an amazing team around me, an amazing girlfriend who's helped me build this brand to what it is today and given me the belief to be the person that I am. Remember, I'm just that introverted guy from a small town who just had a vision. But believe me when I say this, had the work rate to match that vision. And all it is consistency, day in, day out. But one thing I will say is the vision has got to be matched by passion, because passion will last forever. and every client will vouch for me who's come in and been coached under me and coached by the team, is passion is shown in every single check-in, in every single message. And that's because my main goal in this industry now is not just to become the best coach in the world, but it's to impact as many lives positively as possible, but also change as many lives as possible. So people ask me, how did I do the Dubai shoot? The Dubai shoot wasn't about New Gen, it wasn't about me as an individual or the coaches to say, oh wow, we've done a shoot in Dubai. It was about giving back to the clients who've given so much to me. And those clients who trusted me, I said, look, you come out to Dubai, I guarantee it'll open your eyes and you'll think bigger and you'll leave inspired. They came, they'd been on a roller coaster of a prep, emotions all over the place. They've come to one of the fastest growing cities in the world, overwhelmed, and they pulled off a photo shoot and got in the best shape of their life. The following day, we trekked them to a seminar, because a lot of the clients that I work with are coaches, a lot are just general lifestyle, but a lot of these who came onto this shoot were coaches. And I wanted to show those coaches that if they think bigger and their actions align with their words and they're consistent, they can create the life that they want to live. And for me, it's all about now, within the industry that is so easily accessible with no entry standards, it's about making the industry a better place. And that seminar on the Sunday was about results, passion, giving a fuck about your clients. And truly that is my message now, and I will go to war with anyone in this industry who's about quick fixes, money. Because yes, you can make quick money in this industry, but what we're about at New Gen and what we're about as a team and what we're about as a community is building physiques that last, building mindsets that last, and now building businesses that last. You can make quick money, but are you going to be passionate for years? Are you going to be fulfilled? And if you're not, you'll get found out. And spending a few days now to reflect after the seminar and after the event, to think that I hosted an event which I've been told was the best one they've been to in Dubai by people who've been to numerous events, when I'm an introvert, when speaking in front of people absolutely scares the life out of me. And collaboratively putting who I think are the best speakers on the industry in one room hits home. But the mission's not done and it's nowhere near done, because for me as a coach, I've got so many more levels to unlock. And for me as what I would like to define now as hopefully an influential figure within the industry, I want to make it a better place. I don't want to keep giving back to the industry because it's given so much to me. The one thing I will say that I've really focused on over the last 2 years since Miami is just being obsessed with perfecting my craft, investing in the best coaches in the world, working alongside them, understanding my physique, understanding the psychology of clients, but also nutrition at a really high level, anatomy, physiology. And to anyone getting into the industry today, don't look at quick fixes, just become obsessed with getting better at your job. Because if you work in any corporate environment, you get training consistently. As I said, coaching's not regulated, you're not getting any training, so it's down to you as an individual, as a business owner, to become better at your job. And as a byproduct of that, your results will be better, you'll feel more in control of the clients that you're managing, and more fulfillment because you will see your lessons getting put into practice. And people doubted me when I put the shoot on in the seminar. There was like, you're thinking too big. And that's fine, like people will tell you you're thinking too big. And you just got to follow your instinct, follow your gut, follow your head, follow your passion, because that's all I've ever done. And I've made some mistakes, but I've had a lot of wins, and the wins always outweigh the mistakes. So my advice to you is to think big, to act big, and do what feels right. Looking at the scalability of the last 2 years, not just from a business standpoint, but from a personal development standpoint, I feel like in Miami I was a little boy who had a great passion for coaching, a great level of knowledge, but now I'm a man. I've worked with the best coaches in the world. I'm building one of the best coaching businesses in the world. And believe me, I have one of the biggest visions in the world of what I want to do and what I want to really build. And that's not just for me. That's for everybody who comes into my circle. I want everybody to win. I don't just want me to live the nice life or be in Dubai and have the fancy things. That's not what motivates me. What motivates me is the people who build trust in me, who follow me with my journey. I want you all to win. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. And that's why when people ask, how are you so motivated? How do you keep showing up every day? Because everybody who's bought into me is not winning yet. but they will be. But I hope that gives people a good idea of where we've been for the last 2 years, what we've created, what we've done. There's been a lot of positives, there's been a lot of struggles, mentally, physically. But when I tell you now, I'm in the best position that I've ever been in, mentally, physically, with the people around me. I mean it, and there's a lot more to come. I know we're so hit and miss with the YouTube, but that's because I don't have Alex by my side in Dubai, unfortunately, but we're still working on that. But I will do my very best to keep producing the content, to keep inspiring, because I know it means a lot to people, and it means so much to me, for the audience that I've got, the people who follow me, the people who are inspired by the journey, because my main goal is just to keep giving back. But as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support on this mini-series, and we'll keep delivering the content, we'll keep adding the value, and we'll keep being the best versions that we can be.